was 6, my mother left. The next contact I had with her when I was 21. None of the family knew where she was for a long time. It was only because my brother was on a rugby trip and he went to Tauranga, Mount Maunganui, and they were all having a meal in a restaurant, and he looked over and he recognised her, so he went over and introduced himself, and that's how the family got to know where she was, but that's sort of beside the point, I guess. When she left, the discipline got taken over by my father. He was quite strict, I would guess, you would say, for a 6-year-old, to be sort of disciplined like that. It started off with a dog collar, he'd sort of use until he got tired, and went on from that to pieces of wood or broomstick or something like that. He had very I don't know, old-fashioned sort of rules and things. It was, I guess, how he was brought up. I don't blame him for any of it, but it certainly wasn't too pleasant. Being knocked around with a bit of wood was no fun at all, really. But later on in years, I could see his, after I'd left home, I could realise his frustration and things like that. But he did what he could do. This is 1961 when my mother left, so things were different then. Because he worked, and both my sisters had left by then, and my brother, he was going to college, and often worked for my father, who had a trucking business after school as well. There was no one home till 5 or 6 o'clock at night. I'd come home from school, and I just sort of, it was the opposite to before. I could run away any time I liked, but it sort of didn't make much sense at that stage. There was always plenty of food in the cupboard, and I could have stayed home if I wanted to, but that's not really what 6-year-olds do. They go out and find friends, and the friends you find, they come from dysfunctional families as well. Everyone understands each other and where everyone's coming from, and that. I mean, I had absolutely no idea about being hungry or anything, but it used to sort of surprise or shock me to see two friends or brothers even, fighting over half a bit of fish and half a scoop of chips that they might have found in a rubbish bin at the park or something. That was sort of just so foreign to me, but other things, we understood where we come from and all that sort of stuff. Those people, a lot of them became maybe not gang members, some of them were, but certainly associates and things like that, and even today, if I see them down the street, I'll stop and have a talk to them. It's something that doesn't go away. You remember things like that, from when you were young, but the friends, they sort of made it bearable, I guess. You had to have somewhere to go. In the haymaking season, it would often be 9 o'clock, sometimes later at night before anyone got home. So there was me on my own till then. You'd never get away with it nowadays, of course, but like I say, in the early 1960s, people minded their own business, and how things happened is how things happened. I remember my sister, she didn't have much to do with me, when I was growing up during this period, because she had already left home and got married at that stage. I remember her saying to me not too many years ago that I was a spoiled little shit when I was young, But you know what, I didn't feel too spoiled when I was getting knocked around with a piece of wood or a broomstick or a dog collar or something. I didn't feel spoiled at all. But like I say, it was the way things were and how things happened in those days. My father was my age in 1890s, so he was bringing me up how he was brought up, I guess. I think he had a pretty hard life as well, and it wasn't too easy on him. So and also you can't expect someone to go to a war, probably especially the First World War, because it was such an unexpected war. People they'd never seen anything like this before, and the fighting and the ferocity and things that went on. You can't expect someone to go to that and come back, a peace-loving, happy person. It's just what happens. The later wars, they were just as bad, but perhaps people had a bit more warning about what could be happening. But of course, the First World War, the first casualty of war is the truth, and people were told all sorts of things, just to get them there to fight, and it wasn't. I know at least one of my uncles died in the First World War. I think possibly two. My father's brothers at least. So, you can't really hold too much against someone for going through all that and then being stuck at 70 years old with a screaming 6-year-old kid. So things happened as they happened, and whether for better or for worse, that's the way it was. I know it's all been a little bit sort of depressing, all these what made times. I'm thinking I might have a more humorous one for the next one. Bad things happen, but a hell of a lot of good things happen as well. So it evens out, I guess, in the end. But thanks for watching.